Picture yourself in the center of a packed Tokyo subway station at rush hour. Trains arrive, commuters flow in every direction, yet the environment feels orderly and hushed. Among the crowd sits a small child, perhaps 5 years old, calmly waiting beside their mother. There is no tablet in hand, no whining, no dramatic protest, just quiet presence. For many Western parents, that scene feels almost unreal. In the United States, the majority of parents admit they feel drained by frequent tantrums and daily conflicts. Why does there appear to be such a striking difference? It is tempting to assume that Japanese children behave well because of strict discipline or fear-based parenting. However, the reality is far more nuanced and surprisingly gentle. Research emerging from leading Japanese institutions suggests that the foundation lies in a deeply rooted psychological framework that prioritizes connection, emotional security, and mutual respect. For parents who feel trapped in constant battles of raised voices and repeated punishments, this approach offers a radically different path. In much of the West, parenting has been heavily influenced by behaviorism. The formula seems simple: reward good behavior and punish bad behavior. If a child misbehaves, consequences follow. If they comply, they earn praise or prizes. Many adults were raised believing children are naturally manipulative and must have their will broken early. This mindset often produces a familiar pattern. A parent asks a child to clean up toys. The child ignores the request. The parent raises their voice. The child resists further. And eventually the situation escalates into shouting. Compliance may come, but at a cost. Neuroscience helps explain that cost. When a parent yells, a child's brain interprets it as a threat. The amygdala activates the fight-or-flight response, releasing stress hormones like cortisol. In that moment, the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for reasoning, impulse control, and cooperation, becomes less active. Ironically, the louder and more forceful the demand, the less capable the child becomes of responding calmly. Over time, repeated stress can produce children who are reactive, anxious, and emotionally distant. By contrast, many Japanese parents follow a philosophy centered on nurturing rather than controlling. Instead of overpowering children, they cultivate internal regulation. This approach can be understood through 8 guiding principles that foster a strong, lifelong bond. The first principle redefines discipline. In Japan, discipline carries the meaning of beautiful training. It is not something imposed on a child, but something demonstrated through daily life. Children absorb behavior by watching their parents. Calmness, patience, and responsibility are modeled consistently rather than demanded abruptly. A major component of this foundation is kinship, or sustained physical closeness. Japanese families often prioritize shared spaces and physical contact, particularly in early childhood. Rather than encouraging early independence through separation, they focus on building secure attachment. Increased physical closeness raises oxytocin levels, the bonding hormone, and lowers chronic stress. A securely attached child tends to cooperate willingly because the relationship itself is strong. The second principle is proximity during correction. Instead of shouting instructions from across a room or playground, a parent approaches the child, kneels to eye level, and speaks softly. This small shift transforms the interaction. Close, calm communication activates the child's social engagement system rather than triggering alarm. The message feels like guidance, not threat. The third principle is rooted in the concept of avoiding unnecessary disturbance to others. Children are gently taught to consider how their actions affect group harmony. Rather than commanding obedience with, "because I said so," parents frame guidance around empathy. A child might be reminded that running indoors could disturb neighbors below. The emphasis shifts from authority to shared responsibility. The fourth principle, often described as patience or endurance. This principle involves teaching children to tolerate discomfort without immediate gratification. When a child wants something, like candy at a store, the parent acknowledges the desire but does not rush to eliminate it. Instead of distracting or bribing, they calmly validate the feeling and allow it to pass. This practice strengthens the child's capacity for delayed gratification, an ability strongly linked to future success. The fifth principle centers on food education. In many Japanese schools, mealtime is a shared responsibility. Children help serve one another and clean up afterward. Gratitude is woven into the routine. When adapted at home, involving children in meal preparation and cleanup fosters a sense of contribution. Rather than feeling entitled to be served, they begin to see themselves as valuable members of a team. Next is the gift of independence. In Japan, young children are often trusted with small, manageable responsibilities, such as running short errands. These experiences build self-efficacy, the belief in one's own capability. When children feel competent, they are less likely to seek control through defiance. The seventh principle emphasizes low-conflict communication. Instead of bluntly saying no, parents reflect the child's emotions. For example, if a child resists leaving the park, the parent might acknowledge, "You're upset because you want to stay longer." Feeling understood calms the nervous system. Cooperation frequently follows once the child no longer feels dismissed. The final principle is leading by example. A well-known saying suggests that children learn by watching their parents' backs. If calmness is desired, parents must embody it. If patience is expected, it must be demonstrated, especially when children are at their most challenging. To make these ideas practical, the approach can be simplified into 4 pillars: connection, attachment, limits, and modeling. Connect before correcting. Dedicate daily time to strengthen attachment. Set clear limits with logical explanations. Consistently model the behavior you hope to see. In everyday scenarios, such as a child demanding a toy at the grocery store, this method looks different from traditional responses. Instead of issuing a sharp refusal, the parent kneels down, acknowledges the child's disappointment, and guides them through accepting the decision calmly. By validating emotion and introducing small rituals of gratitude, the parent reduces the likelihood of escalation. Implementing these strategies requires consistency. Initial efforts may even produce temporary resistance as children adjust to new boundaries. Remaining calm during this period is crucial. Escalation fades when one side refuses to engage in a power struggle. Speaking more softly rather than louder often diffuses tension. Anticipating challenges and rehearsing calm behavior beforehand can also make transitions smoother. When ancient cultural practices align with modern neuroscience, the result is not just obedient children but more harmonious family relationships. This parenting shift requires redefining authority, not as dominance, but as guidance. The parent moves from commander to mentor. The journey begins with simple steps. Stop shouting across rooms. Increase physical closeness, practice empathy, and model patience.